So leave it to me to find, or stumble rather, upon the French central bank, Banque de France. And it's convenient because I've been dealing with government and centralization all day, police telling me I can't film, all that kind of stuff, and it's been absolutely ridiculous. And we'll see if security says no, you cannot film at the Banque of France. Anyway, it's interesting timing too, because there are stories out, well, globally about the global economy. It's not doing well, and there's claims by the ECB that Italy and France are dragging the economy behind, but really it's all a symptom of the exact same problem, right? And this is something that has been going on for centuries. It's not going to end anytime soon, regardless of which little triggers you pull left or right, which little maneuvers you make. It's all centralization, it's all garbage, it's all the centralization of an economy. I want to look at this article here from Express, which says France economy will weaken this year in damning forecasts for Macron by EU. And as the article goes into, the French economy has been plagued by the repercussions of anti-government protests in the city's capital, with violence often erupting over what was initially sparked by rises in diesel costs. The Yellow Vest street rebellion erupted last November and quickly developed into a broader backlash against economic inequality. President Emmanuel Macron last month vowed to take action to the Yellow Vest movement, with his plans including tax cuts, higher pensions, and a reform of the civil service. Responding to the outrage, Mr. Macron promised 5 billion euros worth of cuts to income tax for lower and average earners. But his plans did not stop the European Commission forecasting a slowdown for 2019, with Brussels predicting the economy will grow by 1.3% this year. This is down on an expansion of 1.6% recorded in 2018 and the 2.2% growth seen in 2017. In its forecast, the Commission confirmed temporary factors such as social protests had a detrimental impact on domestic demand in 2018. The EC is anticipating a slowdown in exports for 2019, while employment is likely to fall to 8.8%. It is also suggested that France will run a deficit this year of 3.1% of gross domestic product off the back of Mr. Macron trying to raise public spending. France has gained a reputation as the world's most highly taxed country, with figures from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development showing the nation's tax take is equivalent to 54% of GDP. Along with tax relief, Mr. Macron said government spending would be squeezed and the French would have to work longer to build up social contributions. He said, "We must work more. I've said it before." So it's an interesting story, and of course, people will say, well, why don't they just nationalize their economy and get out of the ECB, the European Union? And of course that makes more sense, but at the same time, it's not going to cause a problem, and that is legal tender laws, centralization, the printing of currency out of thin air, the vast amounts of debt, and then paying off the interest on the debt. They talk about how, this country is one of the most taxed in the world, and of course that's just complete theft. But there's another tax that they don't mention, and it really adds up. It's inflation. And people talk about, we want higher wages, we want this or that, but the reason that the wages aren't paying well is the fact that the purchasing power is way down. How can you buy a bunch of stuff when your currency is inflating the price of living so incredibly terribly? And that's a problem with the whole EU. That's a problem with the whole world. Every central bank, whether private or government owned, it all goes back to government anyway, with legal tender laws. But nonetheless, this is, he's talking about, well, maybe we'll have some tax cuts, but you're gonna have to work longer and all this kind of stuff. It's like handing the masses of, you steal $100 billion of gold and you give back $1 worth. Here, don't attack us. It shows that he is concerned, the government is concerned, because there will be an uprising. Pensions, we are looking at, by the year 2050, a $400 trillion shortfall worldwide. How do you think that's going to turn out? Do you think that's going to end well? Because it will not. I guarantee you there will be riots in the streets, and you can only imagine what that's going to lead to. We need to stop asking for government to fix the problems of government, central banks to fix the problems of central banks. We must free the economy. We must look to cryptocurrencies that are properly decentralized and fundamentally useful. And this central bank that I'm standing in front of right now isn't going to solve the problem. In fact, I suspect by the end of this whole economic cycle, as the dominoes collapse, this piece of trash bank is going to be burned to the ground by the people whose lives it destroyed. I mean, screw central banks, screw all these criminals that attempt to destroy the wealth of the masses under the guise of centralizing it and helping people and making it work, or whatever, you know, they want to use, any terms they want to use. It's a joke. And these guys are going down, and they know it. Yellow vests are just the beginning of this incredible revolution that's happening. I shouldn't even say revolution, it's an evolution. It's something that we are watching worldwide. It's not France, it's not just Europe, it's not just the United States, it's everywhere. I reported recently in front of Deutsche Bank's headquarters, they're collapsing. Their cash deposit ratio shows that they are completely bankrupt, and it was only a matter of time before it was going to happen. The banks are bankrupt. They never recovered after 2008. They've just propped themselves up a bit longer, and it's all weighing them down incredibly. So I don't suspect it's going to last much longer, but then again, it should have happened a long time ago. All I can honestly say, as I cross the street here by the French Central Bank, is that we are going to watch the evolution take place of cryptocurrency, blockchain infrastructure technologies that's properly decentralized and fundamentally useful, and of course gold and silver and all the other things that people have used for centuries to help themselves, succumb the incredible struggle and pain that is created by these monolithic central banks, as you can see behind me. They will lose, we will win, but we must focus on our end goal and protecting ourselves, protecting our purchasing power, being responsible, financially sustainable as this all comes to an end. It always will. All fiat currencies eventually revert to their true value of zero. They always have, they always will, going back to 1024 AD in China, and this time will not be any different, folks. And, well, bon voyage to the Banque de France. You can actually see as a building decays. I have to say, it's quite an interesting sight to behold. I do have to watch out that no bankers fall on me. One of them might do a little plunge, but nonetheless, it's been an interesting experience watching this economic system play out for the last 15 years that I've been watching it, more than that. And yes, we've talked about it collapsing for years, and we've been right for years. It should have happened a long time ago, as I mentioned, but we are seeing every telltale sign right now, and we are watching as the dominoes start to fall with the banking system, and the biggest banks are starting to crumble, and the recessions are beginning to set in all these places around the world. And it's a telltale sign, the yield curve inversions and all that kind of stuff, the bubbles left and right, the everything bubble. It's incredible. But we will prevail as long as we understand what's going on and we know how to protect ourselves. So anyway, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media at the Banque de France, a central bank. Find the truth, be the change.
Like what you see here, WAM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so heavily demonetized and censored by YouTube, as these guys come in and flag all of our content as hate speech. The shadow banning is getting really bad, guys. Also, check our Bitcoin address right here on the screen or in the description below. We really appreciate it. And of course, check us out at the Red Pill Expo 2019. Of course, the great G. Edward Griffin and so many other incredible speakers will be there. Our link for that is below as well. And we cannot forget Mike Maloney's goldsilver.com, which you can also find in the description. One of the greatest market and monetary historians out there. We really encourage everyone to check that out. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.